And if I didn't mention this already, this is the first ever Mad Monster for Atlanta, the very first one. It's Boba Fett. Wow. You could be the real Boba. I know he's here today. That's amazing. All right, check it out. We got celebrities and we got vendors kind of all mixed in. Carl Weathers is straight ahead. Also Jesse Ventura.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give a big Mad Monster Party Atlanta welcome to Carl Weathers.
Yeah. There he is over there. Yeah. Amazing.
Expecting a little more, I fell asleep there. He said, "You're on." Okay, here I am.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us here in Atlanta and for taking part in another Q&A with Mad Monster.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here in Atlanta after so many years. Some of you may or may not remember that years ago, Carol O'Connor shot a show down here called In the Heat of the Night.
The night. Covington.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to know Carol prior to that. Met him through Burgess Meredith, and Carol asked me to be a part of the show. So I got a chance to spend a little time down here in the Atlanta area, in Conyers, and we did a show that I think a lot of people love and still love today. So good to be back.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? And because if I remember correctly, you also did some theater in college as well too during that period.
All the above. Well, the long short story is I did the first play I ever did when I was a kid in grade school. And anybody in here who knows that you do something and you get applause for it, it kind of sticks with you and encourages you in many ways to want to do more of it. And so I did that first play, which was, 5th or 6th grade, and got bitten by the bug. Actually, the truth is, I did a play before that, one of those pageant plays, where kids are dressed up with the weird wigs and the pantaloons and all that kind of crazy stuff and tights. And finally, as I matriculated and went through secondary school and all that, I fell in love with football, and football was probably physically, even though I tried out and made every sport in junior high, the only thing I was really good at was football, But those coaches were generous, I think, because I was the kind of kid who, I just tried hard. I just wanted to be successful at something. And despite the fact that I wasn't the best at a lot of those, I made the teams. But football was kind of my wheelhouse, So did that and got a scholarship to an all-men's Catholic school in New Orleans, which is where I grew up. And then I left there just before my senior year, between junior and senior year, and moved to Long Beach, California. Had a grandmother who doted on me, and I'd been there and visited, and wow, it was so beautiful and so open and so many things that I appreciated. And I went there and then went to finish high school at Long Beach Polytechnic. Long Beach Poly is well known for a lot of athletes who've gone through there, and a number of them have made it to the NFL. And from there I went to Long Beach City College because I thought football was over, I was going to do something different. But as soon as I got there, what happened? The coaches came to me, and I started playing football again. And had a teacher there who encouraged me to go and try out for a play. God only knows why, but seriously must have seen something in me, and I went and I did that. I got the role in the play and did that, and then I got a scholarship to San Diego State. Don Coryell was the head coach. Played at San Diego State, made that team, and majored in theater. And that's how it all began. Here we are all these years later, and I've been very fortunate.
Awesome.
Now, you've played a number of iconic roles over the years. Of course, most notable, Apollo Creed.
That's not the most notable. Come on. He's one of the most notable. People love all those characters, am I right?
Yeah. Action Jackson.
But can you talk a little bit about being cast in that as that character?
Well, the misnomer I think for a lot of people is that if you work in quote-unquote Hollywood, you've made it. Well, I after football, after I decided, I played with the Oakland Raiders, and then I went to Canada and played in Canada for 3 years, CFL, and there came a point where I wasn't having fun doing that anymore. I was getting beaten up, and my body was aching, and I was still very young, of course, but in football, and particularly professional football, 3 or 4 years, man, you've been beaten. And because you went through junior high school, college, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of years of being pounded on. And I also just had this yearning to do what I really wanted to do, which was be an actor. And I'd had some San Francisco experience and some success in San Francisco, and did a play or two in San Francisco, and decided out of naivete that I was going to go to Hollywood and give myself a year to make it. Well, I say naivete because there are people who work their entire lives at something and never quite make it, if you know what I mean. But I was real fortunate. I started working within about 6 months of going to Los Angeles, and I was fortunate because it didn't stop. I worked a lot of television in the early years, everything from Streets of San Francisco to Kung Fu to Del Vecchio to Cannon, SWAT, Good Times. I mean, a lot of different shows, And that kind of stuff really just helps an actor, a young actor in my mid-20s, to really feel that there's possibility. And then this movie came along, which at the beginning, people don't realize this was a script. That is, the history with Stallone and all that sort of stuff, and he didn't want to sell it outright. He wanted to be a part of it and made the deal to star in the movie. Well, they didn't want to see Carl Weathers because I was nobody. I was just a struggling actor, as they say, right? Working in a lot of television. I've done a few movies, but nothing that really exploded onto the scene. And they wanted a boxer who could act. And so they went after people that they couldn't get. And finally, someone slipped me a script because I couldn't get one through normal channels. And I read the script and bang, I just knew that this was me. As a young kid growing up, you're emulating Ali, and everybody wants to dance around and be Muhammad Ali, or be the guy who's beating Muhammad Ali. Well, I thought I could do it, even though I'd never boxed. And so I got an interview finally, went in and told them that I boxed, and gave them this long story about when I was in Canada playing ball. In the off season, I would do club boxing, and I'd never boxed in my life. But I believed I could do it, and they had me read for them, and apparently that went over well enough that they said, okay, well, let's put him in the ring. So they sent me out on an excursion, and I remember it like it was yesterday, in Santa Monica, California. There used to be this gym there, and I went into the ring with a real boxer, a guy named Frankie Crawford, who was a middleweight. He wore me out. I mean, if you never boxed before, one of the things that really kills a lot of people is they don't know how to relax. You gotta relax when you're throwing punches, because if you don't, the tension alone will wear you up. Just holding your arms up, 3-minute rounds, it's a lot longer than you think it is. So by the end of 3 minutes, I could hardly lift my arms, but I could move, I could dance, I was athletic, and Frankie and one of the other guys went back and told him, I think he could do it. Lo and behold, I got the role of Apollo Creed, and as they say, the rest is history.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Carl.
Hi.
Pleasure to be here. Ask this question. As a young actor or an athlete, what was the main source of inspiration for you? Was it like music? Was it other actors? Basically, what got you going? What motivated you as as an artist, as an athlete, as an actor?
Yeah. Well, a lot of things. You mentioned music. That was one of the first things, one of my first loves, actually. I sang with bands since I was in, I'm trying to think. Well, since I was in junior high school. You know, I had a pretty decent voice and even recorded for a couple of labels, but that's a whole other story. But there's something that we hear a lot of times, and we hear actors say this, and I believe it is absolutely true. And today, more than ever, you see examples of it. If you don't have examples, then you don't believe that you can do it. I mean, you really think about that. You know, if you wanted to be a mathematician, well, looking at actors isn't going to necessarily inspire you to be a mathematician. But if you see great mathematicians and you start to learn what they did and how they did it, then guess what? There's an example for you of maybe the road to follow. And without a doubt, as a young black kid in this country, let's be real, there weren't a lot of great examples for me growing up. We're talking pre the so-called civil rights era, right? But I remember one of the first movies I saw, which I'm really making myself sound as old as I am now, was Sidney Poitier in Lilies of the Field.
Good movie.
And let me tell you, that made an impact.
Good.
That made a heck of an impact. And then I remember seeing him in The Defiant Ones with Tony Curtis. And again, what an impact. And then I saw other actors, one of whom gets seldom mentioned. But there was something about this guy on screen. A man named Woody Strode, who was in Spartacus, who was the one, what do they call it? In Spartacus, the guys who fight
Gladiator?
Gladiators, yeah, thank you very much. One of the gladiators in this beautiful, I mean, if you want to really give yourself a treat, look at that physical specimen that was Woody Strode. I met him when he was probably just a few years younger than I am now, and he still was, I mean, like 6'3", and just sculpted. He was an athlete at UCLA, was an All-American, I think, was there when Jackie Robinson and people like that were there, was a decathlete, I think, football player, but I mean one of the most magnificent physical specimens that I've ever seen on film. So those kind of people, when I saw early on, you know, you look at that and you say, oh, that guy looks like me. I could possibly do that. That's why it's so necessary for every kid to have an example. I mean, we look at movies today, and particularly I know now what's happening is, like Crazy Rich Asians, what has that done for the Asian community? You know, it could have been just a bunch of caricatures, but you bought into not only the people, those characters, but the culture. So every kid, whether you're Latino, whether you're African American, whether you're Asian, whether you're you name it, you know, if you're Nordic, to see some people who look like you is important. And so I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
That's where I got
amazing
inspiration from, those people on their shoulders, you know.
It was awesome.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming out here this weekend and for being
And we were just both talking about how much we enjoyed that panel with Carl Weathers. That was one of the best Q&A/panels I've ever sat in. We've been to a ton of conventions. I'm a huge fan. What?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, we just got Grinch ball. Oh gosh, I'm always running into this guy. Just make it quick. Just make it quick. Photo finally came in, and I couldn't be more pleased. Look at the backdrop from the movie Rocky. Carl Weathers, such a tremendous, awesome dude. By far one of my favorite meet and greets with a celebrity. That was so cool. I hope you enjoyed the footage of the panel earlier. I left a lot in just because it was so good. Such a huge fan. This guy's always been an inspiration to me, just like Sylvester Stallone. Rocky, such a great film. Best Picture, 1976. Couldn't be more pleased. Got this. We went to dinner. We went to Target. We did a lot of things. And we're back at the hotel. And here we are, gonna edit this video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. Much ahead. Keep on punching. Goodbye. Oh, 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 oh. Just, oh man. And happy Thanksgiving. Have you seen my fiance? No. Okay. Hope you. Awkward. Ah!